Let's start where Brosig resides in the AFC East, where we got the Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, Miami Dolphins, and the New England Patriots. Alex, you started off. What do you think about the division, and who do you have winning it?
Ooh, that's tough. AFC East, I think, is very wide open, right? I think the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins are all around top 10 teams already, and they're all Super Bowl contenders if everything plays out correctly. I think the Patriots are probably a tier below them just because I don't know if they have the offensive weapons to compete. But we've beat the dead horse on this one. Everyone always is going to say the Bills. The Bills are going to be the champs. I personally think that it's going to be the Dolphins or the Jets. I'll probably say Dolphins. I'll say Dolphins just because I feel that they have the best roster, and if Tua can stay healthy, I think their team is really good. So
Hack, what do you got?
I have the Dolphins as well. I think the Bills are at a point where there's just a lot of fatigue around the organization that they were supposed to have been there the last 3, 4 years, and they just haven't. And I think you just get to a point where you begin to doubt that you ever can. And I know they're going to say the right things and they're going to try to do what they need to do. But I think there's got to be something in that locker room. It's just, at least with some of those guys, where they begin to doubt themselves of like, can we actually get this done? Because it seems like they've been set up perfect for a few years and just couldn't. And I think the Dolphins have, like, they know what they want to do. Like, they're getting the fastest guys they can and they're building around that. And just kind of getting in space. I think they have the most like actual plan and direction compared to the other teams in the league or in the division. Like Alex said, I think Jets obviously could be up there. I really love what they're doing, but I think they're just a little bit behind, kind of like Alex said with roster.
it might take them a little bit longer to pick up. We've kind of said that before, and their schedule is definitely difficult at the beginning. They play the Bills week 1, Cowboys week 2, so
I'm gonna go next, and then Brosik, I'll leave it for you guys. Look, okay.
Don't you dare say anything about Mac
Okay,
Jones.
I'm just saying, guys. Listen, this. There's a team every year that everyone's counting out. Everyone says they're not going to be it. Like, it only makes sense for the New England Patriots to be that team in the AFC East, guys. I know I failed you last year, Alex, with this take. I know I failed you last year with this take, but I'm telling you, man, I like the Dolphins too, like a lot, a lot. I guess what I'm really trying to say is I'm leaning Dolphins probably being the divisional winner, but y'all both said it. I don't want to, I want to give another perspective, but I do like Patriots at that second spot for the AFC. I think there are murmurs of Tyquan Thornton figuring it out. Him and Mac, little glimpses of that. Them finally get some legitimate outside speed that can be trusted. Their running game was good. Solid defense always, and so I don't know. I think there's an opportunity for them to just shock people, just shock players. And so I'm excited for them. I'm excited for them. And Brosig, let us know from your perspective how you think the Bills are going to be the divisional winners.
I mean, I'm actually gonna ride with Miles on this one. I think the Patriots really are gonna. Hell no, this
No,
guy's
no, I
suck.
knew it.
Oh
I
my
didn't go
God.
for it. I didn't
Oh,
go
I
for
felt
any of
for
it.
it.
Nation, get out of here. The only thing that's gonna be shocking about the Patriots is how they drive Bill Belichick into his early grave by how bad they're gonna be. It's
That's
gonna be the Jets. They're
rude.
the team that you just mentioned that people are kind of like, oh, they're gonna jet it up. They're gonna do something to make all these investments go down the toilet. No, man. It's going to be a rough start. Bills, Cowboys, we have the Eagles in there. But once Aaron gets it going, it gets that chemistry with the team, the defense is already locked and loaded. I just can't see us making these many moves with the kind of players that we have around us to go and not win this division. It is our time to strike. Lightning only has its chance in the next 2 years until A-Rod retires. But of course, I'm going with the Jets to win, baby. Screw the Bills, Dolphins, and of course, those other kids over there that aren't too important.
I'll say it's funny that none of us picked the Bills. And another thing I will say is I think Aaron Rodgers is revitalized and he's becoming an underrated quarterback. in our group text, one of these people who I dislike said that Rodgers is the ninth best quarterback in the league, which I think is very disrespectful. So,
I mean,
Well, it
even if
wasn't
I
we
me.
have
do.
him
It
huh?
wasn't me.
Oh
It
yeah,
wasn't. I didn't
no,
say it. So.
it's none of
There was
us
no
here.
one here.
Oh
No
yeah.
one here.
but
Oh,
even
okay.
if
We'll
we
take
Okay.
it
have him
offline. We'll take it offline.
as the ninth best quarterback, like Zach Wilson was the 33rd best quarterback out of
Yeah.
32 teams, and we still won 7 games. So I just think even if A-Rod is a little bit over half of what he brought to the Packers over the last few years and those back-to-back MVP seasons, I think we got a pretty good shot.
I do think there's a lot to be said. And Alex mentioned how tough the schedule is early, and you kind of mentioned it too. But I think there's a lot to be said that with this team, they would probably struggle early no matter who they played against. So it's almost better that they play the top tier teams early
Get it out of the way.
rather than maybe some of these easier teams that they would have a higher chance to lose to early in the season versus later in the season once they get their groove. And so I think there's actually an advantage with those hard early games versus easy early games, personally.
And it was the same thing last year when everyone thought our first few games were the toughest because we had the AFC North. And then we actually ended up doing pretty well then. And on the back half, where everything seemed to get easier, we
Mhm.
shit the bed. So
Mhm.
you just never know.
Yeah, and I'm just curious. There's the Peyton Manning effect when he's a veteran and he leaves and that team is a Super Bowl contender and they're already up there in the big conversation. And then there's a Matt Ryan leaving Atlanta going to the Indianapolis Colts and it people thinking that it was going to be the same thing and it being a complete disaster. So I don't think Aaron Rodgers is in that camp. I do want to bank on him, you know, being a successful as a veteran quarterback on a different team. But I'm curious. Like,
He has
do you
Hackett
have
at
any?
least, which is different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Brosig, do you have any worries with him in regards to him going from Green Bay to New York? If that is going to play any effect on him, or do you have any worries? Or are you like all in? Like this is it?
I think the only two worries are one, I don't want Aaron to come in and try to use this revitaled mentality to do too much and try like too hard to prove people wrong, where he may be making decisions that he won't normally make. And then the second thing I'm worried about is just the youth around him. How are these young guys going to respond to all of a sudden pressure's already high in New York? On top of now, we could be Super Bowl contenders and playoffs or bust. All that, I want to see how they handle it. That's why I think the first half of the season may be a little bit tougher, but once everyone gets on the same page, A-Rod figures he doesn't have to win games on his own. And the defense knows, hey, we have someone on the other side of the ball who's not only going to take care of it, but when it comes down to crunch time, you can trust him. So
Yep.
those are the two things that make me a little bit worried. Other than that, I think there's more pros than cons going into the season.